practice community, practice ceremony. And for him to come in and say, you're going to come work for me on burning your roundhouse down, that's an act of, cultural terrorism.
You can imagine how you would feel.
This is Sutter's Fort in downtown Sacramento.
Shelling your house. That was how Sutter introduced himself to some of the people of the Sacramento Valley. Some others quickly established peaceful relations with him and didn't get that kind of treatment. But everyone,
Old Civil War cannon.
they didn't cooperate with Sutter. They suffered this.
This is the jail. This will be a very lonely jail. I see cannons. So this must have been a firing position to protect the fort. That's cool. That is really cool. Very, very cool. Low door. Copper shop. So this is where copper would be processed. That's really cool. Low door. Let's see here. Oh, cool. Nice. Lights. Who built Sutter's Fort? Hawaiians helped build the new Helvetia. Sutter's party landed on the Bank of America River during August of 1839. The groups included 3 Europeans, Native American boy. I'm sure you can read that. Looks like dog prints. Spur, rope. Don't know what that is. And you guys can read all that. Some artifacts. Looks like an arrow or a spearhead. some of the stuff that was here. An old knife. And there's a pistol with what looks like a really large dagger, but it's probably a small sword. Artillery short sword. So it's a short sword. And a sextant. Permits team used the sextant to take measurements and map of the Oregon Trail and California. Their maps guided immigrants to the West Coast. That's really cool. Looks like some thing that you would eat grub out of. Yeah, a pot, kettle, plate, spoon. So this must have been over the years. Yeah, it's really cool. I'm kind of slightly crunched on time, but yeah, it's okay. Exterior wall blacksmith shop. All right. Check the time. Okay, I should probably be leaving shortly. But I just wanted to kind of treat myself to a nice trip to a Civil War history. Oh, those are guns in there. That's a really big gun right there. Probably flint. Yeah, flint locked. This must have been a quarters of somebody. It's fascinating on how technology is back then and how you essentially had to survive with, no smartphones, technology, computers. This would be Period Trade Store. So this was a store where you would buy things. So this was like the equivalent of walking into like a all-purpose store. Gosh, it smells very good in here. Very old school. And like I said, no cash registers, just a bunch of stuff. John Sutter's bedroom. Hello, John Sutter. How are you doing today? Yeah, that bed looks very comfy. Looks very comfy. Probably not to us modern folk, but back then this bed was probably royalty stuff, comfortable and all that. Okay, I think I'm gonna visit a couple of more rooms here and see how things are. Candle shop. So this is where they would make candles. Very simple. Yep, back in the day, people used to work with all this stuff. Blacksmith shop. So there's the furnace thing that would heat up the metal, and you'd have to use that thing right there to blow air into that to heat up the coals to make the metal molten. to then hammer them out on the anvil and then dunk them in water. Okay, we're gonna do one more, and then later on when I come back I'll do a part 2. Gunsmith. So this is where they would make the guns. Okay. And then this is the rest of the fort. There's an old cannon there. Every so often, I think from when I used to go in elementary school to here, they would actually fire off that cannon. Of course not, with a live cannonball, but, they would fire it off as a blank. Very, very, very good place. So I would recommend that if anybody wants to visit Sutter's Fort in Sacramento, California, in downtown, then I would recommend you do so. It's a good place. It has a lot of history, especially right around the gold rush days. And it's a beautiful place. Of course, this is what, modern, their version of military life would be like back in the day, because there's obviously, military stuff here. But yeah. All right. So I'm going to end this video. I'm going to get home. I'm going to upload this up onto YouTube. You all have a good day. Bye-bye now.